I'd like to call to order our monthly meeting of the Board of Education for August 22nd at 7 o'clock p.m. I will start with a roll call so that we can acknowledge everyone who is with us this evening. And beginning with board members, I will start with myself. I am Deb Shute, and I am the chair. Thage Singh, our vice chair, is with us virtually. Jeff Fleischman, our secretary.
Present, thank you.
Jackie Blea. Laura Young. Lynn Katz. Liz Summercorn. Sarah Thompson. And Nicole Russo is also with us virtually. For our administration, Dr. Carnamola, our superintendent.
Present, thank you.
Mr. Giannini, our assistant superintendent.
Present, thank you.
Mr. Medic, our assistant superintendent.
Present, thank you.
Ms. Russo, our business manager.
Present, thank you.
And Ms. Sardinskis, our executive assistant to the superintendent and board clerk. Thank you. All right, if you would all stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I always like to read our mission statement at the beginning of our meetings to remind us of the work that we are doing here together. Thanks, Tom.
Sorry, that's my computer, some technical difficulties right now.
All right, love it. Our mission is to inspire in each student a joy and passion for learning and a commitment to excellence, personal integrity, and social responsibility. I thought I'd be able to talk a little bit better. If you would please join me in a moment of silence for one of our own, Jason Indomenico, who recently passed after battling very valiantly bone cancer. Thank you. I will do my best because Jason deserves that. I've been thinking a lot about what I wanted to say at this moment. I don't usually take notes or write it down because I want it to be off the cuff and genuine. And to be honest, I've been struggling because doing this makes it more real. I've had to stop myself from calling him, just even to hear his voice again. Jason was steadfast in everything that he did. He was so good in his role on our board. Quite frankly, when he left the Board of Ed for the town council, I was devastated then. But at least I knew he was still doing work for Avon and he would still represent our board. But his dedication to his family, his wife, and his children translated into everything he did for us. He was a gentle giant. I mean, he entered a room and you noticed him right away. And with my height difference, he never made me feel small. So that's quite something to say. He would just kind of give a little head nod and acknowledge you from across the room, and you knew that he knew you were there. And that mattered, and it meant something. He was the real deal. He was a genuinely good guy. And it was effortless for him. He was funny. We spent hours together, some of us at this table during negotiations, hours, sometimes till 3 a.m. And he kept us laughing, and he kept us moving forward because he was a calming presence. No matter what the conversation, no matter how engaged we might be, he just had this way of just alleviating any stress, and it will be sorely missed. And I guess what I want to say on the record, if his children ever watch this, Catherine, Eli, and Leo, I want you to know that we know how amazing your dad was. So as you grow, know that we adore you because you're a piece of him and you will continue to be your own selves. But we truly valued your dad. And I could just keep going on, but I should probably stop. I just thank you for giving me this moment to acknowledge that, because most importantly, other than as a colleague, I am just so honored to have called him my friend. And Thage asked me if I could read something, and hopefully I can do this because this will be read. They each wanted me to also share that she had the privilege of meeting Jason through the DTC many years ago. Jason was an upstanding man that gave so much in service to our town through his work on the Board of Ed and the Town Council. He worked tirelessly and was committed to everything he did. Avon is a better place because of him. I knew Jason to be a reasonable man who was a good listener and very practical person. This allowed him to be successful in every position he held. He will be sorely missed, and I feel very fortunate to have known him. Go well, friends. There are some at the table that didn't have the opportunity to work with Jason necessarily, but I don't want to not allow everyone to speak who would like to. So if anyone else would like to say something, you're welcome to.
I think we all adored him, truly. Deb, Laura, and I have been with him for many, many years from the beginning when I felt like they were kind of new to Avon and his kids were just kind of getting started. And I mean, he was just so much fun. I can't say all the things I wish I could because I can't. But I guess what I know about him most is most of us who crossed his path. There's that saying that people remember what you said and what you did in life, or they won't remember that, but they're always going to remember how they made you feel. And I feel like he always, every interaction, no matter how small, I think everybody felt heard and recognized by him. And, you know, he could make your opinion feel really valid, even if you didn't agree with it, which many times he didn't. Laura and I would call and say, do you have time? And he'd be like, sure. And then we'd run something by him for, 30 minutes. And I mean, he was just the best. So I appreciate you taking the time to do that. And I know that he meant a lot to so many people in Avon. And I'm just going to be praying for his family and really thinking of them so much.
Anyone else? I'm sorry. Okay. If you want to, Jeff, go for it.
I had known Jason before coming on the board casually. Our children are the same age, they were in the same classes, and so this loss hit me personally in that sense. What I do think is important, and I don't want to take away from who he was as a man, but I really feel this community lost a really great leader, a strong leader of this community. He was on this board someone who was truly always willing to listen and wanted to understand other points of views. Whether he agreed with them or not, he sought an understanding. And that benefited this community on so many levels. I truly felt that his interest was service to this community, to improve this community for his own family, for the community at large, and this is just a tremendous loss, and his presence will be missed.
Anyone else? Bridget?
Thanks, Deb. And I appreciate the opportunity to say something publicly about Jason. I'll keep it simple and brief. I had a great conversation with Catherine, his wife, over the weekend. And I echo everything that's already been said. Jeff, I think, makes the same point I wanted to make, which is that as a board member and later, I believe as a town council member, although obviously I didn't work on the town council with him, but I still worked with people on the town council as the superintendent. Jason was, of course, incredibly intelligent, but he was also insightful and able to resolve disagreements no matter what side of the aisle, so to speak, you're on, what your politics were, what you felt personally about an issue. None of that mattered to Jason. And that, as a school superintendent, never mind as a human, but as a school superintendent representing the school district and all of the administrators, faculty, staff, and students that are here, that's one of the most important things that we can hope for in a board member, that when they sit at the table with us, they're here to do the right work for the right reasons. And sometimes that means tough decisions, and sometimes it means decisions that we personally don't agree with. And I mean, we individually and we collectively. But sometimes we make those tough decisions. And Jason was always willing to do that and not make it about anything other than doing what was right by the students and the employees in the district. And I missed that tremendously when he left the board, as you said, Deb, and it's just a huge loss to, obviously, his family, but to the community as well. And they're in our thoughts and prayers. And I consider Jason one of the reasons that I'm here in Avon and that I have been mostly successful as the superintendent. Jason was on this board. We've obviously seen a lot of changes. I've seen a lot of changes here, but also as a superintendent, even in the previous district. I can't say that I ever worked for the same exact board of people longer than maybe a year, ever at a time. So a lot of board members have come and gone in the time that I've been a superintendent between Watertown and Avon. And Jason was truly one of the best that I've ever had the privilege of working with. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we'll move on to the regular order of the business. Did you know Thage is missing? We need to let her back in. Okay, we're trying to make sure that Thage, oh, I have to do that. I apologize. There she is. Okay. Okay, thank you very much. Okay. So now I would like to make a motion to amend the agenda to add an item under old business regarding a textbook that we had opened up the 30-day viewing period for at our June meeting so that we can take action on that tonight. So do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Laura, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, that'll be under old business.
And they voted unanimously.
Oh, I apologize. Did you guys vote? And I didn't look at you. Nicole? Yes? Okay, I'm sure. Okay, thank you.
Thage.
I don't see her camera's not on. She's in an airport.
Thage says yes.
Yes, okay. All right, good attention to detail. I appreciate that. Okay, next, a motion to approve the regular monthly minutes of the June 13th, 2023 meeting.
So moved.
Thank you. Lynn, do I have a second? Second by Jackie, all in favor? Aye. Nicole and Thage? I see you, Nicole, thank you. Thage, if you could text it. Is it in the chat?
Yeah, click the chat button. That's what
That
it
was the last one. That's okay. I
We'll do
think we're good.
8-0.
Okay. Communication from the public. Is there anyone signed up that would like to speak this evening?
That was 8-0. Thage was abstaining on that.
All set. Okay, thank you. So, did you want to speak, Dave?
I'll wait for the, there's going to be another one later.
There will.
Oh,
Okay, perfect. All right, so now items of information and proposals. It's a briefer agenda because we're just getting started and the school hasn't begun, school year hasn't begun, so we don't have student reps with us this evening, so we won't have that report. But financial report, Susan?
Good evening. The Finance Committee is yet to meet for the school year. We'll report next month.
Thank you. So we're looking at the committee dates tonight, and so possibly September 19th is when you'll discuss that, and then we'll bring it to the monthly meeting. Thank you. All right, so now committees and liaison reports, curriculum and professional practices. Jackie?
We have our first CREC meeting Wednesday, September 20th.
All right, thank you. Finance, Lynn?
Well, Susan said we haven't met. We will meet on September 19th, right? But is now the right time to approve, to make a motion to approve the minutes?
You'll approve them in the committee meeting. That's where they
Okay.
get actually acted on. But it's good to have the information for us to all be aware of the work that's being done within the committee. A good question. Okay. Next would be negotiations. That is me, and we aren't currently in any groups that do we have any coming up soon? No. Okay, so that is remaining as that. Policy, Laura?
So we will be meeting in September, and I'm assuming that we're going to be approving all the dates for all the subcommittee meetings before we leave tonight.
Okay, excellent. And I know there's changes from the legislature as well that we'll be addressing. Thank you. Liaison report, Capital Region Education Council, Jackie.
I'm sorry, Deb, I was speaking about, when I said September 20th, that's the next CREC meeting. The C and PP meeting dates will be finalized tonight.
Okay, thank you. All right, next is the board chair update. I'm excited for the start of school. It's always a fresh beginning, and it's nice to feel like we're even further away from those COVID restrictions. So it's exciting to know that our convocation on Thursday morning, which I hope some board members will be able to join, but I will definitely be there, and I'll be in the room with you, which is so nice. I don't think I'm very good at those videos. I don't know. I tried, but I think I'll enjoy being in your presence. So I'm excited, and thank you for coming back to us, because you're our family and you help us run this whole district, and we're appreciative of that. I do want to acknowledge Bill Duffy from Thompson Brook and say that our thoughts and prayers are with him and his family as he is battling his own bout with cancer, and we really truly hope that he gets his health back quickly. We are so incredibly grateful that we have a staff that is so resilient and flexible and capable, that Noam Sturm is stepping into his role. We have utmost faith in you that you'll be able to step into those shoes and give that building what it needs. So thank you for being willing to do that. We appreciate Liz eagerly wanting to work with you as well, so that's awesome. No. I know at Roaring Brook, Susan will miss you, but we are absolutely thrilled that she's stepping into the role of interim principal. Is she here? Yeah, okay, you're behind?
We just can't see.
Okay. I thought, thank you. All right. I've told her that I look out into the crowd for her smile. I always do, because she always gives one back, so that's always nice. But thank you so much for doing that, Susan. We are grateful to you, and we are really excited to have Mike Renkwitz come back and assist her. He knows our district well. He's been with us for so long that he'll be an absolute attribute to that process. And so, again, it's impressive to know where we are now versus when we first came on the board. The staff didn't have all of that flexibility within them, and I think Bridget has brought that out in you. And I'm so glad you stepped up to the challenge, because we know you'll do really well. So thank you. And now I'll give it to Dr. Carnamola for superintendent report.
Thank you. Christine, if you can pull up the slides, please. I think we thought it would be best to put together all of the updates in the slides. So they're back and forth. Obviously, hiring is within them also. I know Mr. Medic has some information for us related to new hires. We have pictures of folks for you to be able to see in case you're not able to be at convocation, and we're not, thank goodness, doing those wretched videos anymore instead of being able to be in. They were wretched. But at the time, I said they were good because I had because that's what we had to do. But right, and I'll go back now and say they were wretched. What Deb is saying is, there were about 10,000 outtakes of each of us trying to do the convocation video. So the only piece of the agenda updates that is not in here is the enrollment report, which you have in your packets. We are up about 15 students from the same time last year. We're still processing registrations. As I already mentioned, our pre-K numbers have increased, and you'll see that again tonight when we go through some of that with the staffing and the financial piece of it. We did have to add in another section of pre-K. But if you can go forward for me, Christine, we'll just do it in this order. So overall, obviously, this is a very busy time of year for us. It really felt like a busy summer in general. I know it seems like we say that every year, I guess, but I've spoken to a lot of people who said this definitely seems to be one of the fastest we've ever had. A lot of work got done in the district. We have a listing of all of that. You see, for example, the flooring was replaced here in the library. It looks great. So I'm combining the opening updates alongside of our Blueprint for Excellence, our strategic plan updates, because many of them obviously are related. They're all related in one way or another, but some are directly tied to some of the strategic plans. So we'll start off with systems and operations. So this, mostly we're talking about the end of the year finances, and we did have that end of the year financial meeting in June. Those minutes, as you said, have not been approved yet, but the draft was sent to you anyway, just so that you would have them for reference. And yes, there's another screen. Everyone can see, right? Thank you.
Can they see it online?
They have my slides. I sent these to them online, so.
Okay, thank you.
They'll be on the website also. I sent them to all of you. I just didn't want to waste paper and so on, printing all of them out. sorry, anyway, back to, so we had to end the fiscal year, so it's August, but actually the books are closed about a week ago, if I remember correctly, Susan, toward the end of last week, because there's still transfers and pieces of relieving expenditures and encumbrances that were held over, processing all of the end of the year payroll and so forth. So catching you up to date on where we landed with the end of the year 22-23. You can see we did all of the things that we already had on our list. We needed 2 more technology labs here at the high school. Remember, we have another teacher coming on board also. We had to purchase additional BenQ boards and Chromebooks, the social studies textbooks for the middle school that were approved some time ago. And of course, we made other numerous purchases just to get the school year started, but we wanted to point out some of the more significant ones that we utilized end-of-year funds. And by that, I mean as a reminder for the board and also for the public that might not know this, that are here with us tonight, some of that is because of our choice grant funding that comes in that does not come until the end of the year. It has restrictions around how it needs to be spent. And we never really know exactly what we'll get until we get that check, so to speak. Sometimes it's totally different even than what they told us the week before it would be. It goes to the town, we request it from the town, and we have to have purchase orders ready to go to be able to actually expend the grant funds before the deadline runs out. So some of what we did with that was equipment, supplies for STEM, some of the musical instruments that we keep on hand for students, the larger ones that we use in performances and/or for our students that might need financial assistance. We were able to make some additional security upgrades throughout the buildings, which we work on every year throughout the year. We added security film to some other key places and cameras, and we were able to make the playground and the tennis court repairs that we all know were necessary. If you could keep going. These are capital projects that had been on our list that were approved through the town council capital budget, and then also some additional monies we put in that were where necessary. You can see all of this work is still going on. It's down to the wire. You might have seen in the letter I sent out to staff about convocation. Our parking here is still a bit restricted because they are even still working on the roof and the solar panels here, but the carpet's been done. Very excited that the stage floor has been refinished in the auditorium. We've also had new carpet there. Tile repairs, room exchanges, HVAC, lots of HVAC work done, particularly here. The library looks fantastic at the middle school, if you get a chance to see that. We have new furniture. The carpet was replaced. The library offices and the carpet in the music rooms were replaced as a part of our capital improvement plan, and also that skylight repair that was necessary at Thompson Brook for the leak. And again, we put some additional safety film at Thompson Brook. Pine Grove, that was a huge, huge project there this summer with the alarm and the alert system. Even though that was the last school to have the same system put in as all of the others. And the reason for that was, again, unfortunately, related to the pandemic and the supply chain debacle that meant they couldn't get all of the parts to have that done before now. But we're happy that it's up and running the way all the rest of the schools are. The library carpet was replaced at Roaring Brook. That was a big project. The Roaring Brook Library is beautiful, but it was in severe need of carpet. And as you know, we've talked about this before, our little ones spend quite a bit of time in circles on the floor and so on too. So we're happy we were able to get that done before school started. RTU, that just means our HVAC, our return systems were balanced. Some of that was necessary related to some airflow issues there. Parking lot repairs, and of course, the parking lot at central office was done, which is fantastic because we could have lost a tire and a wheel and maybe half of a car in some of the holes that we had. But the flip side of that now is maybe we need speed bumps because now it's definitely like a dragway between one end of the parking lot and the ball field. You keep going for me, please, Christine. Breakfast and lunch, this is a little bit of an issue for us. I can imagine it's going to be an issue, I guess is what I should say, because I'm sure some of you, if not all of you, have seen the governor, the repeated announcements about lunch and breakfast being free. That's not really true. it is presented on television and updates as though it applies everywhere. It does not apply everywhere, and it does not apply in Avon. There are some changes, but we have to go back to a paid meal structure because we are not getting the kind of funding that other towns are. So really what it means for us is that if you would have had reduced lunch, it's now free. It will be free if you needed free or reduced, but everyone else will go back to paid lunches. Breakfast is free, excuse me, yes. For everyone, I will say this, though. It's not really utilized. That breakfast is not something that's utilized all that much in the schools. There is some demand for it, but not much. Yes. Lunch is going back to paid unless if you are free or reduced, and if you were reduced, you're just free. Yes. Go ahead.
For all our families out there, it's extremely important that you fill out your free and reduced applications. A letter will be coming out within the next week with that form attached before school starts, but we cannot offer free and reduced unless we have the proper documentation. So it's extremely important. And many families did not have to do that with the pandemic, with the free meals for so many years. So we ask all families to please resubmit that paperwork.
It was always supposed to be done, but families wouldn't have thought it was as necessary, and we saw the paperwork drop off. Now it will be an issue if we don't have it turned in. And of course, we work with families if they need assistance with that, or we hear that they need free reduced lunch, but we haven't seen paperwork. Some pivots to the budget, as always. Like, as I already mentioned, we needed another elementary section. We need a new pre-K section. We had to add in additional teaching assistants with the numbers that we had in kindergarten. And so we're going to just continue to monitor the budget, as we always do, and ensure that we are able to make the transfers that might be necessary to pay for those needs that we've encountered as we've moved on through the summer. And actually, not just through the summer, because again, and I know I say this all the time, but we approve a budget as a board in January, and we're projecting ahead for an entire year and a half what it might look like. So we often see some changes. Go ahead, Jeff.
So at the end of the last fiscal year, in the spring.
This one that just ended?
Right, correct. We had the conversation, because I had raised the question regarding all the pre-purchasing. Approximately, do we know how much of pre-purchase we did that would free up money coming into this year to address some of those issues?
Yes,
Just
and that is one of the
approximately.
things that we did. I think I know, but I won't misspeak. I see you unmuted. Go ahead.
So for supplies, direct classroom supplies and instructional materials, we have about $100,000 that actually we're going ahead and put a transfer through to clear that so we can reduce it from the budget. So that's not available to spend and we don't double spend it.
Right.
And then we'll continue to investigate new hire savings, which is why I haven't quantified anything on here. But that supply number that we spoke about,
Yep.
particularly at the last board meeting,
Yep.
was
$100,000.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, I appreciate that.
Thank you. On to the hiring. Mr. Medic, I'll let you take this. And we're not going to sit through reading every single person, just so you know, but we wanted you at least to be able to get to see their faces. There were a lot of new hires. I have to point out, because everyone else has already heard me point out, that's just how, you can go back to that just one second. There's one I want to point out, and it'll be a complete embarrassment, but her grandma and mom will be happy. Maureen Falam was a student of mine, actually, when I was still a high school principal. And, yeah, full circle, she is now a math teacher and went through the process here and has started with us. So it was exciting to walk into the new staff orientation and see Maureen there. But go ahead, Mr. Medic.
Good evening, everyone. Christine will advance the slides every so often, as we had quite a few new hires, as you can see from probably our longest hiring report of the year. Between retirements, resignations, transfers, and new hires, we processed more than 60 separate personnel actions beginning as early as May. I would like to first start off and extend our sincere thanks to our building and district administrators, as well as their administrative assistants, for their hard work in screening candidates, coordinating and conducting interviews, and completing all the necessary paperwork for each candidate as part of our processes. In addition, I want to offer very big thank you, especially to the students. We had several dozen students, parents, and staff members who willingly gave up their summer to be part of interview committees or sit in demonstration lessons when we couldn't have full classes of students. Their participation and input was beneficial to help us find very talented candidates. They'll probably not watch this, but I'll remind them tomorrow that I spoke about them. Two of our behind-the-scenes staff, Monica Mates, our HR specialist, and Barbara Cardwell, our payroll specialist, they process every form and personnel action item for us in various systems through our benefit administration, payroll systems, teacher retirement board, and they handle entering all the data. And they're the first faces that people really meet and connect with here, and they are wonderful stewards of our district. Finally, I want to thank our IT department for their coordinated efforts with the business office to ensure that all the employees receive their network credentials, devices, job-specific software, training software, and just regular support as they begin their new positions. This summer, we coordinated our efforts to more effectively and efficiently interview and hire candidates for several non-certified positions. We ran a hiring fair on August 2nd, in which a team of building administrators and central office staff went to the middle school, and we conducted dozens of interviews to fill multiple positions. It was a very successful day. We hired multiple people in one unique opportunity, and we're looking forward to expanding and building on those efforts next year. We are in the process of finalizing our last 2 certified hires, along with 1 certified long-term substitute position for a maternity leave. We anticipate doing that this week so that our classrooms will be fully staffed when we open. We are still actively seeking and interviewing and hiring for several non-certified positions, in particular paraeducators and nutrition service employees. So if there are members of our community who are looking to work in an excellent environment, we'd love to have you join the team at Avon Public Schools. Also, we did receive some wonderful news from Kelly Services. As the board knows, that's the agency we utilize for substitute coverage. They've had a small increase in the number of overall employees, as well as the number of employees who have made themselves available to our district specifically. On Thursday at Convocation, we're going to take some time to recognize individuals who obtain tenure, as well as individuals who reach various milestones for years of service to the district. It's a great way to start the year and recognize the longevity here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Medic, and again, thank you to you also and everyone else involved in the process. I had the great fortune, as you know, I like to try to do the last interview for everyone that's hired here. I think I saw 58 out of the 60 for the final that I could, maybe off the top of my head, that I can think of. So it's been a busy summer, and thank you to everyone for contributing to getting that done, which leads us right into new staff orientation. We do staff orientation for everyone, no matter what the position is that you are hired for. Within our teacher agreement, our collective bargaining agreement, there are 5 days of new teacher orientation. So it's a lot to plan. I want to pause for a moment, and I'm going to ask Jess to speak to some of this, but I want to start by thanking Jess, Roberto, Jody, Elizabeth, Tiffany, Lori, Tom, because every 5 seconds something's wrong with someone's computer like mine. Probably user error. I know that's what you're thinking over there. Hence, there's a cord. It's like, Bridget, it's just dead. And all of the administrators for helping to put together the orientation. It was very successful, large group of folks that went through over the 5 days. And it also meant all of our administrators and administrative assistants, Christine included, had to be present to help run those sessions, to set up lunches, to break down lunches, to do scheduling, to work on technology, you name it. So it's a very large undertaking, and it went very well, and I'm appreciative of all the work that was put into making it the 5 days that it has been, tomorrow being the last day. Justin.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. As you can see from the dates on the screen, we're actually still in the middle of new staff orientation. So we welcomed on Thursday our new certified staff, and tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. we'll be welcoming our non-certified staff to the district. It's 5 days for new staff to get to know our district, who we are, and what we're all about. This year, the program includes all district leaders, 25 certified staff, and 27 non-certified staff. During the 5 days, most of the time is spent in training, and many of these are trainings that are important to us here in the district, and many of them are also state-required trainings as well, things that the state asks us to ensure that all employees are trained in prior to beginning with us in Avon. The staff learn about programs like Schoology, which is going to be replacing Google Classroom this year. That's our teaching and learning platform, so all of our staff will be receiving training actually in that during our Welcome Back PD days this coming Thursday, Friday, and Monday. So some of our new staff actually got a sneak peek. Sometimes it's nice to be the new person who knows a little bit about one of the programs. And also in EduPlanet, which you've probably heard that term before, it's our curriculum software program, which houses all the district curriculum and resources. Some of our new staff who are in their first 2 years also are required to attend team training, which is our teacher education and mentoring program. That's a statewide program for all teachers in their first 2 years of teaching. And finally, we catch up new staff on any training that we feel, again, is important to us, that we want them to make sure they participate in. An example up there is like the workshop model. It's something we spent a lot of time on in the past 2 years. We want to make sure our new staff are familiar with it prior to joining us next week. So during these days, we do our best to model the importance of relationship building and small group instruction. And so instead of lecturing at them for several hours, we actually meet in small groups. So they meet with 2 or 3 of their new colleagues in groups with all of our department leaders. They get to know a little bit about the supports we have available here to them in Avon. You can keep moving on, Christine. Sure. Yeah. Oh, one too far, I think, actually. Maybe I had one more line there, yeah. And so one of our favorite activities, because it's always hard to be the new person and stand up in front of a crowd and introduce yourselves, is we do an activity called Tabletop Resume. And so they work with some of their new colleagues, generally from their buildings, if we can match them up. And they create one resume, and we brought some of the examples. They're actually hanging behind you there, Lynn, Jackie, and Laura, so you can check them out at your leisure. But just a few highlights from the resume. So that's actually like a group of 4 or 5 of our new staff, and they work together to have one resume that represents all of their many qualifications. Part of the reason we selected them here to join us in Avon. And so a few of those highlights include 90 years of experience. That's not any one individual. That's, of course, all together. And then 46 different schools between student teaching and past experience prior to joining us. And then 38 various certifications. So some of them have similar certifications, and then, of course, they have some unique ones as well. The final part of that, and you can kind of see on the bottom where the text gets a little bit small, after Dr. Carnamola speaks about our district mission and vision, we ask them to revise their resume and add in what the mission and our core beliefs mean to them. And just to highlight for you, what they had shared with us was that after hearing about our mission, they felt it was important to make authentic connections, have a growth mindset, empower their students, and ensure all students feel as though they belong and can achieve. So in hearing that, we feel like they really took our mission to heart and got a lot out of that first day with us.
Didn't even touch the thing. Right after that happened, mine went off.
I hate when that happens.
This isn't normal. Anybody's not normally with us, this isn't normal. Thank God for our technology department. These are fantastic. I'm so glad they're hanging up here for us to check out what a neat way to do it. Yeah.
It's something we talked to them about, encouraging to carry through to their classrooms, that it's hard to stand up and present to your peers. And so if you can, we model that for them of this is something you can take back and use, where students can come up to the front of the class together to present, share information, because sometimes it just feels more comfortable to be there up there with someone else.
Thank you again, Jess, and Susan, I didn't mean to neglect you as I thanked folks for the orientation, because Susan was also very involved in the planning and the delivery with some of our non-certified staff. As you know, one of the things that we've been trying to do is ensure, coherence in the systems that are in place, and that's an ongoing process. I don't think one will ever finish that, but some lifts have been heavier than others. And particularly with the way things keep changing, you think you have a system down, and now you have Schoology instead of PowerSchool. Now you have an update to our financial systems, whatever it may be. And we've worked really hard over the past few years, but in particular over the summer, to standardize a lot of the systems that we put into place, including, I want to thank Christine for helping me and the building administrators, by virtue of helping me do it, to revise our district-wide handbook so that it matched all the board policies that are in place, and was then able to be customized to the individual buildings. But I think it was very important. There were a number of times over the past year or so when someone called me, emailed, or said to someone else, I'm looking at this online, and in the handbook it says this, and I pulled up the board policy and it says that. And it was just a huge undertaking because it's a lot of information. And so we streamlined that, linked things directly to board policies so that as those are updated, now that will also automatically be updated. So it was a big project, but I'm glad we were able to take it on and do it this year. Moving forward, we had our leadership retreat. I spoke about it at the last board meeting because it was coming up when we were at the board meeting in June. We spent 2 days together. Day one was just all of the district leaders, whether from central office or from the schools, where we took stock of the prior year, where we were in terms of our strategic plan, where we were in terms of our individual goals that we had set. We spent some time doing a crosswalk of the district goals and the plans of all departments, again, looking for that coherence. We talk about a lot of different requirements and plans that we have to have, whether it's the portrait of the graduate or it's the reading implementation plan, it's the blueprint. We were looking and still continue to look for ways to make sure that all of those are very obvious, that there's an obvious connection to the work that we're doing, both for us as a leadership team, but also for every individual that works in the schools and students and families. Day two, for the first time, we brought in teacher leaders to a retreat with us. It was the first time also we did it 2 days in this manner and a third in the summer. That was fantastic. You see one picture there. I think we had almost 60 of us at that and that means at least 40 of our teacher leaders were with us for that from across the district. We worked together on a lot of things to do with, you see the compare and the contrast up there. If we keep moving forward, I guess I would say the theme was, how do we keep moving forward by deciding what to keep and what to let go as we try to reach for the goals that we continue to set as a board and as a school district. We ran breakout sessions, which was nice because they were smaller groups. Christine, you can go to the next slide for me. There were smaller groups for people to be able to share their insights and feedback about things, work we'd been doing in the district and work we're planning on doing in the district. And then was this only yesterday?
Just yesterday,
Yeah. If you were here as I ran in tonight in sandals with a computer that didn't work, this might make a little bit more sense. We've been nonstop. We spent all day and part of last night together at our final day of the leadership retreat, making sure that we put all the finishing touches on our work that we're about to embark on. We've done a book read together as an administrative team. Short book, great book. If anybody is interested, it's called The Power of a Positive Team. And I think we've taken some good pieces away from that. We also launched our first Portrait of the Graduate Skill Area, which you'll continue to hear a lot about. That is collaboration. And we also worked closely together about what our professional learning communities, or our, as we are calling them, collaborative learning teams look like. So when we talk about common planning time for teachers, the kinds of meetings that we have as administrators, the administrative council and so on, what processes will we have in place to make sure that we are maintaining our focus on students and supporting the work to move forward. And we came to some consensus about what those would look like, which is a huge step forward for us in terms of how we're going to use our time moving forward. Jess, I'll ask you, again, you want to chime in on the teaching and learning?
Sure. So as we get ready to launch the new year, we just wanted to share a few of the upcoming focus areas as we move into 23, 24. Can't believe I'm saying that. Still got to work 22, 23 out of the system. And so this slide just highlights a few of those. Of course, like anything, when we talk about teaching and learning, there could probably be 10 more slides. Don't worry, there aren't, with bullets of lots of different focus areas. One of the things we took away from our retreat is the idea of a telescope and a microscope. There's the big ideas, right, that we see through the telescope, and then the smaller things we focus on that we see through a microscope. And so these are really some of those telescope ideas and focus areas for this year. First up is the K-5 mathematics professional development. We talked a little bit about that last year. We are rolling out what we have dubbed dueling pilots. So we've selected 2 programs that will be piloting in 8 classrooms from kindergarten to grade 5. And those teachers have signed up to be trained and to fully implement those programs this year. We want to be able to use that to get a very close comparison of the 2 programs and see which one would be the right fit. As you know, programs are costly. We want to make sure we're making the right decision for our students here in Avon before moving forward with the program. We also will be providing job-embedded PD for all K-5 teachers. So much like what we've done in the past with reading and language arts, we'll have a coach coming in to do model lessons and work in small lab structures with our teachers to provide that professional development. We'll be continuing to improve our curriculum. So we have 3 focus areas for this year, which is social emotional learning. We'll be reviewing and revising our wellness curriculum, and we'll be reviewing and revising our world language curriculum for this year. So we hope to bring those to you later this year for review and approval. We'll also be, as Dr. Carnamola mentioned, leading some of the efforts to enhance professional learning communities, although we're going to call them collaborative learning teams, so a little bit, and so we feel that's a good fit because part of the skill that we're focusing on from the Portrait of the Graduate is collaboration, so it makes sense for us here in the district. And then, of course, a big lift this year will be redesigning Avon's teacher and administrator evaluation program. That's coming down from the state. They've provided some guidance, and we'll be working closely with our teachers and administrators to revise those plans this year. Any questions? Sure.
Quick questions. Is there any update from the state regarding the reading programs?
Read my mind. I had that as the last thing. But yes, we do.
Oh,
Yeah, we
okay.
have not, unfortunately, received any updates from the state about the reading waiver. What we did hear from various sources over the summer is that numerous towns in Connecticut, I think maybe much more than they anticipated, applied for waivers. So we were originally told we'd find out in late August, but now they've moved that to September. And it sounds like there'll be some kind of a conference with those individuals who look over our materials so that it can be a two-way conversation, which we're actually happy about. We feel better about that, being able to talk about it with them directly.
The second question, I know, and I think it was last year as well, is there still going to be ongoing professional development regarding the workshop model, the writing workshop model? Is that continuing?
Yes, great question. And we were excited because you may remember last year we talked about participating in the Science of Reading Masterclass that was put on by the state. And we found out, I guess maybe as a door prize, they are providing us, and it depends on how we use it, but 30 to 40 hours of complimentary professional development from one of their reading consultants who can work directly with our K-3 teachers on continuing to implement that model and also early literacy strategies in their classrooms. So we were excited to learn that. We're working with that team to put that together for this year.
Thank you, Jess. And just a few more overarching pieces. We're looking forward to Officer Felix Acosta starting with us, our second SRO. He will be starting with us on the first day of school. He's been at his SRO training, both the state-required pieces and some additional training at the Avon Police Department. I also want to thank the Avon Police Department for processing all of those 60 new hires that you see. That also means every one of them has to go through the police department for fingerprinting, and that is, it's a huge lift on their side too to try to get that done in a timely manner for us, and a lot of those hires have come in at the same time. So very appreciative of the chief and the department as a whole working closely with us to make sure that that could get done. Something on the previous slide reminded me, what did I want to? The curriculum, I also want to thank the curriculum office and all of the CPDC committee, all of the teachers that worked on curriculum. It hasn't gone without notice, Jess. You know I already know this, so of course I don't have to notice, but I know it's been noticed by others that we are at what % of the curriculum published right now?
It's over 90% is published
So,
online. So.
I noticed, thank you.
I knew you did, but I didn't want to call anyone out. I mean, you weren't the only one. I think that's important because, one, it's been one of our goals to do for years. It's been difficult to get. It's been a very heavy lift, and you have done a tremendous amount of work, and we're grateful for that. And plus, one of the legislative updates that we'll talk about is the fact that it is now the law that all boards of education and/or school districts, however it gets posted, have to have all curriculum posted. And that might sound like, well, so what? Most don't have it posted. Most have. There are a lot of school districts that don't have any curriculum posted. So I'm happy that we were already down that path because we're ahead of the curve on the law, and I believe it's taking effect for next year. So I don't know how many of our colleagues are going to get that done, but I'm appreciative that we had it done. Speaking of which, one of the things they just recently released to us, one of the changes in the legislature, and we've talked about this before, is the fact that you have to have a social and emotional learning curriculum in school districts. There are state standards at one point that were released. The state was supposed to provide a model curriculum. We waited quite a while for that, worked on some of our own pieces here, and they've now put out at least a draft of some of the standards. So we're going to have to go back around the table for that soon also. I miss anything about the new
No, but I think
curriculum
we'd be remiss if we didn't recognize Jody Krasansky, who's
I
our...
said teaching and learning.
Yes,
I met Jody
know,
too. Yes.
I know, but I know she's back there,
Yes.
probably
There she is.
giving me the side eye, so I just want to make sure, but...
She put her glasses on so she could see me better when I didn't say Jody.
Well-
I'm kidding, Jody. I'm kidding.
She's been a big part of that curriculum work, and
Absolutely. Thank you.
a large part of the reason all of that is posted online. So thank you to Jody Krasansky for all her incredible work here in the district.
Thank you. That's it for us. Thank you.
That's excellent. It was very comprehensive, but well needed from us, and everybody who participated deserved the recognition for all the work that went into that. So we appreciate what you have done. You call it summer, but you're really working really intensely. So we know, and thank you. All right, so moving on, we have our consent calendar. Do I have a motion to approve the consent calendar items as listed?
So moved.
All right, Laura, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Sarah, all in favor? Aye. I'm not sure about Thage, but I see Nicole.
Yep, she's there.
Okay, she's there.
9-0.
So it passes unanimously. Congratulations to Susan and Noam and to our school nurses. So maybe a round of applause for that. We haven't done it tonight. Excellent. All right, now under old business is that item that we added at the beginning of the meeting. We had brought this text to start that 30-day viewing period back in June, so barring any questions about it, I just need a motion to adopt the primary instructional material for the 6th grade social studies textbook. All right, Jackie moves. Do I have a second? Second by Lynn. All in favor? Aye. And Thage? Is that another yes? Is she under the?
Oh, that's the second one. We're good.
Okay, excellent. Thank you very much. Passes unanimously. Okay, now new business is our board committee dates, and Dr. Carnemola and I talked about this, and Christine was smart to think about it too. Just, we're only going to vote on the first half of the year, is that right, for committee dates? Just because rather than creating a special meeting conundrum in the second half of the year, this way at least we'll be good to go. So did anybody see any conflicts with the dates that we have been given? No. Anything that you wanted to say about any of the dates? Bridget, or anything? You good?
No.
All right, so then I guess I just need a motion to approve the board committee dates as presented, even though there may be changes along the way if things happen. Do I have a motion for that?
So moved.
Thank you, Jeff. Do I have a second? Second by Lynn. All in favor? Aye.
Yep.
Got it?
1-0.
All right, thank you. That one passes as well. Okay, now we come on communication from the public. And David, I know you wanted to speak. Do you still want to do so? Okay, if you don't mind, I've gotten in the habit of reading instructions for this, so I just want to be consistent. Okay. This is the section, even though I know you know what you're doing, but it's okay. David served with us very well, so he's seasoned. This is the section of our meeting where Avon residents have the floor to share their thoughts and/or concerns with the board. It's not an opportunity for conversation, rather it's the board's chance to listen to feedback from the community. Please add your name to the list. You can let Christine know your full name and address, and we'll call you up. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. In an effort to hear as many of you as we can, we must adhere to this time limit. You can certainly state that you agree or disagree with the previous comment if you prefer to be brief. Brevity will allow more attendees to be heard. After 15 minutes are up, the board may choose to extend public comment or not. No speaker will include charges or complaints of a personal nature against any individual Avon Board of Education member or individual employee of the Avon Board of Education, whether the speaker names the individual or not. Please refrain from clapping or cheering. Ms. Sardinskis will be our timekeeper tonight. If you should reach 2.5 minutes, she'll alert you with a 30-second warning. At the 3-minute mark, you'll be alerted again to signal that your time is up. But we welcome your engagement and participation. David, please come forward.
David, I know you didn't know that part, so I wrote your name down. Don't worry about it. We've got that.
Okay.
Okay. My name is David Kavanaugh, former board member. This is as awkward for me to say to you as it may be for you to hear. I'm here to discuss the memo that was sent via email from the superintendent's office on June 14th. This is a complicated situation with a lot of moving parts. So it's not a dispute with any employee of the district, as the issue comes back to the board itself, board oversight, board policy, and that's where this is headed. So you may have to indulge me a little bit. They have some issues regarding federal privacy laws in the memo. For one thing, this is the memo in which it was the senior parade in which student decoration of a car was deemed offensive. Anyway, regarding some of the privacy issues involved with that, other students in the parade could easily determine which car was decorated differently and therefore which student is the target of the memo. Second, there's a private Facebook group that had unredacted pictures of the student and their car with their discussion and all of that. Well, members of that group shared that information all over town. I received a copy myself, so I knew exactly who the student was. It took me all of 5 seconds to figure this out. And then there just happened to be, according to my calculation, and this may be news to you because you wouldn't necessarily know this, by my count, I counted 5 Board of Ed members in that group. So you may want to think about quorum, if that matters. So there's an issue in there. But then my third issue is that the memo itself didn't have to be sent in the first place. It could have been responded to, as far as the complaint could have been simply responded to that this was not a school event. And there was nothing to really say, nothing to really do. That's pretty much the end of it. So it could have ended there. So I really wondered why the memo came out in the first place, because it would have been so easy to just say it wasn't a school event. it's not my intention to drop all of this on the superintendent's desk, because that's where the memo came from, but really, to me, it was a problem of political pressure. And so I don't know where the pressure came from. I leave that to the board to discuss and deal with it as they need to. The students, the private Facebook group, the Board of Ed members acting in their individual capacity, the audience here tonight, all have First Amendment rights. In fact, they're all equal. The problem begins when government decides that some people have more rights than others. And that's the takeaway that I got from the memo. There were certain students in certain groups who would never be sanctioned for their speech, no matter what they said, no matter where they said it. The political pressure would be unbearable, so it wouldn't happen. And yet for other students, this was somehow okay. So I'm here to suggest policy changes to empower district employees to better withstand political pressure, set boundaries, and then provide accountability. So I don't really want to head down the accountability path, because I don't really think that enough has been done to help the employees stand up to this sort of thing. I served in state government for 13 years, and so I have some experience about political pressure, and it's not always a comfortable thing. After the June 14th memo, Board of Education called an executive session June 19th to discuss free speech matters, presumably a discussion to include legal counsel. With the town's budget being what it is, you can't let this turn into a Powerball lottery jackpot for potential plaintiffs asserting their constitutional rights. There's an election this November. I'm not in it. My wife doesn't want me to be. Candidates should expect to be asked for their positions on the issues that I've raised here tonight. So no problem in the history of education has really been solved by publicly shaming a student. That tactic has no place in education, not here, not anywhere, not now, not ever. And yet here we are. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Is there anyone else? All right. Now we move to communication from Avon Board of Education members. Did anyone want to speak at this time? Go ahead, Lynn.
I just want to thank everybody who devoted their summers to the amount of work and the excellent work you've all done, the administration and teacher leaders. I think staffing is the most important thing that you do, and you read the papers and you know what's going on in other districts and other states where there are not enough teachers. There are not enough people in classrooms, and in Avon we don't have that problem, and I think that speaks volumes about our district. So I just want to thank everybody. I hope you rested as well as work all summer. And I just wish you all a fantastic, joyful, and fun. I saw the word fun up there. I agree with it. And a happy, healthy school year. Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. Jeff?
I just want to, wish, obviously, all the staff a good luck to our first year, at the new year. I know how exciting it is usually and how angst-provoking, but I just want to acknowledge in the last 6 years, I have seen, Dr. Carnamola, your staff be tremendously flexible and step up into positions when needed. And the shuffling around of the administration is a great example. Staff steps up where we need this to be filled, and we've been fortunate because we're able to fill it with people who know us, who know the district, and know our values. So I think it's a great sort of commendation for your staff, and it stems back to the team you've cultivated.
Thank you, Jeff. Anybody else?
I would just share my gratitude, as Lynn did, and as Jeff was saying, for all the amazing work that happened behind the scenes when you were all kind of splitting around for the summer and you guys were processing probably over 60 personnel records and all that stuff. So thank you so much. It really sounds like an exciting beginning to the school year.
Okay. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, through the chair. I just wanted to, David, I know you already know this, but make sure that I said it and so that anyone else could hear also. As the board already said by bylaws, it's not, we don't engage in a conversation. I know you already know that, but I'm happy to speak to you about any of it or anyone else about any of it offline, because I can't do that in the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm just going to echo everything as well. Have a great year ahead. We'll be here, of course, supporting you in however we can. I will be looking for a video from Susan and Noam. Even though you're separated, there needs to be one of those. But truly, I'm excited to see diversity in the new staff members. I'm excited for what seems to be a good morale right now and just a tone of enthusiasm. And I think that's wonderful going into the school year. So kudos for the hard work.
Excellent. Anyone else? Good. All right. Do I have a motion to adjourn? By Jackie. I have a second.
I'll second.
Second by Jeff. All in favor? Aye. Passes unanimously at 8:04. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.